is Christmas. Hello everybody and welcome back to Flock Talk. Obviously we are getting pretty close to Christmas, so I went ahead and I ordered a package for my birds, and this is something that they have never had before. They've never had anything quite like this before, and it's something that I've honestly been thinking about for the past like 2 years about buying. It's not even that expensive of an item, so I don't know why I have been having such a hard time committing to purchasing one of these, but I'm really hoping that they'll enjoy it. So let's dive right in. What I have purchased is a Snuffle mat. If any of you guys have dogs at home, you will probably already know what this is, but for those of you who don't, a Snuffle mat is basically a mat like this, usually covered in pieces of fleece that you can scatter your dog's kibble in. It's usually used to help them kind of slow down their eating a little bit if they like to gobble their food, or it's also a good decompression thing because they can sniff, they can explore, and that helps lower their heart rate and calm them down. So that is predominantly what this product is used for, but obviously I have purchased this for the birds, so we're going to be scattering their pellets and their treats and things in here, and I'm hoping that they'll scavenge and search it out. The benefit with these things is, if I'm not mistaken, they are machine washable. Yeah, so washing instructions, machine washable on a cold, delicate cycle and air dry. So when it comes to bird poop or whatever else they're gonna get on this, it can be thrown into your regular washing machine, which is a huge bonus for me because the less things I have to scrub by hand, the better. So the idea for me when it comes to this is that I'm going to use this as predominantly a pellet forager, so I can scatter all of my birds' little pellets in the weaves and the different pieces of material here, and they can kind of dig around and peck. Because both of my birds are species that are naturally ground foragers, that means that when they are looking for food in the wild, they will dominantly go down to the floor, peck around, move leaves, and scatter things all over the floor, kind of digging and searching for any seeds that have fallen from the trees onto the ground. That's how they would naturally find a good portion of their food. So I'm going to be using this to kind of help simulate that, where my birds can kind of scatter through the pieces, dig it around, figure out where the things have gone, and find all of the little crumbly bits and give them a little bit more enrichment that way. So this Snuffle mat, these pieces on the top here are made of colored fleece. So obviously this might not be ideal for every single species of parrot. If you have a bird that likes to chew apart the pieces of fabric and swallow things that they aren't supposed to, this may not be an ideal product for them, or you might be able to make one yourself out of different materials instead of fleece, something that might be safer for your bird if they were to accidentally ingest it. Obviously, when it comes to anything that is a synthetic material, you need to weigh those own risks with your birds and decide whether or not it's too risky for them to be playing with. My birds don't tend to chew on things that aren't a natural material, so I don't think I'll have too many issues with this. Another thing to be pre-warned about this Snuffle mat is that it is a very soft plush material, right? So if you have a bird that is extremely hormonal, that has issues with egg laying or a lot of hormonal aggressive behavior, this could accidentally simulate some sort of nesting material. Your bird could get quite possessive over it because of how it kind of seems like a nesting texture to them. So again, that's another risk to weigh in with your birds, or it might just be something that you have to give them in off seasons. So you're not giving it to them when they're already kind of feeling a bit more hormonal. That's again a risk that you have to weigh with your own birds on a day-by-day basis. Otherwise, the backing of this mat here is basically like a plastic non-stick mat that you would maybe use for the bottom of a sink or something like that. And it's just like a soft plastic. There's nothing else really going on here, and it has a ton of little holes. It's like a plastic grid. So it makes it really nice and easy to clean because I can kind of just stick my fingers in these gaps here. So if I scatter seeds and my birds can't find them, it'll be really easy for me just to shake this out and get all the pieces out instead of having issues with the food maybe sitting there, potentially getting moldy or having anything else go wrong with it where it's just been sitting there for too long. This will be super, super easy to shake all the loose pieces out of, have them all fall out of the base so it's not collecting down there, getting stuck in all the knots of the fabric, and then potentially turning sour. And again, as the instructions said, this is machine washable, so I can just throw it into my washing machine with some sort of bird safe cleaner or even just plain water for the first run and let it get all of those bits and pieces out, get it nice and clean, so you're not having to hand scrub all of these individual pieces of felt material. So this mat I did purchase from a small little Etsy shop called Ashley's Pampered Pup. And so the Snuffle mat was one that was 12 inches by 12 inches long, which I think is gonna be the perfect size for my birds. There are other shops that sell them, of course, and you can find them in stores more and more commonly now. They're just called Snuffle mats. They're usually in like the dog section or the food bowl section. I just personally would prefer to support a small business because it was pretty much the same price to buy it off of Etsy as it was to find in the stores around here. And if I'm gonna buy something like this, I'd rather pay the small business than I would the company. So that's what I personally went for. And then the benefit of that through getting it from the shop that I did was I could customize the colors that I wanted at no extra cost. I went with the lime and the mint. I was kind of hoping for more of like a grass sort of vibe, so it could be a little bit more, I guess, natural looking. But instead it's more of like a blue sort of teal and then a lime green. I still think it's super cute. Not quite the colors I thought it was going to be. But in hindsight, yeah, this is totally like a mint green. I don't know why I thought it would be a different color. It was lime and mint. I thought the mint was gonna be a little bit more green than blue, but that's my fault. Otherwise, I'm super, super happy with it. It seems super well made and durable. Virtually all of these felt pieces are the same length, and that was another big reason why I chose this shop, is a lot of the ones out there have really long strands of felt because it's designed for a dog. You want the pieces to flop over, so that way they kind of have to burrow a bit more. But I wanted a shorter length so it'd be easier for my small birds to traverse it. And the shop owners seemed to make them a really nice short length. They looked really tight and flat. So it was gonna sit up and look the way I wanted it to when I lay it down on the ground. But I guess, I know it's not quite Christmas yet, so what we will do is I'll let my birds explore it a little bit. They're giving me a bit of a side eye, not too sure about this thing. So I'll leave it on the floor for a couple hours, let them kind of check it out and get settled with it. And then I'll probably put some treats in here and we'll see how they like it. So bringing out the big guns. I got some sunflower seeds. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scatter some kind of on the outside of it and then slowly have them leaning in towards the center of the mat so they don't have to go straight into it right away. They can kind of ease in. See? There you go. All right, so that about does it for it today. That did just about as well as I thought it would for the first day of them seeing something pretty new and scary. For the first few days, we're just going to be leaving it kind of scattered on top and kind of elevated on top of everything for a while. And then as they get used to it and they get better, hopefully I can start to actually burrow the food a little bit deeper in between those pieces of fabric and hide them and have them fully like digging in there and scavenging for things. But for the first time being introduced something that's pretty dang scary for my little birds, I'm gonna say they did really rather well, and I think that this is going to turn out to be a fantastic forager that will hopefully be relatively easy to both fill and maintain and clean. So we'll see how that goes throughout the following months. Otherwise, I think that's gonna about do it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.